Ethan Walker sat frozen across from a woman who had just told him no one ever wanted to date her, and he understood why she'd say it before he could. The sleeves of her blouse covered more than skin. The tightness in her shoulders told a story he knew by heart, because every night he tucked in a 7-year-old daughter who believed the same thing about herself. Two strangers, two sets of scars. One impossible question hanging in the rain-soaked air of a Portland cafe. What do you do when the person across from you is carrying the exact wound you've been trying to heal at home? Thank you for joining this story. If it moves you, please like this video and comment with your city below. I'd love to see how far this journey travels. The rain had started an hour before Ethan was supposed to leave, which felt like a sign he should have listened to. He stood in the doorway of Lily's bedroom, watching his daughter arrange her stuffed animals in a precise semicircle around her pillow. A ritual she'd started after the accident, though no therapist had been able to explain exactly why. "You look fancy," Lily said without looking up. Her voice was small, careful, the way it always was when she noticed something that might upset the fragile balance of their world. Ethan glanced down at the button-down shirt he'd ironed twice, suddenly self-conscious. "Your Aunt Jess said I had to try." "Try what?" "To look like a normal person." That got a smile, brief and genuine, before Lily's hand drifted unconsciously to the left side of her face. The side with the scars that tracked from her temple down to her jaw, angry red lines that the doctors promised would fade, but hadn't yet. She caught herself doing it and pulled her hand away quickly. Ethan's chest tightened. 7 years old, and she'd already learned to monitor herself like that. "I don't have to go," he said, crouching beside her bed. "We can make popcorn and watch that movie about the singing dog again." "You hate that movie." "I hate lots of things. Doesn't mean we can't watch it." Lily finally looked at him, her dark eyes too old for her face. "Aunt Jess says you need to meet someone nice." "Aunt Jess says a lot of things. She says you're lonely." Ethan felt something crack in his chest. Not breaking, just shifting, the way a foundation settles under too much weight. He reached out and tucked a strand of hair behind Lily's ear, gentle around the textured skin. "I'm not lonely when I'm with you, Bug. But I'm a kid. Best kind of person." She studied him for a long moment, then made a decision that seemed far too grown up. "You should go. I'll be okay with Aunt Jess." You sure?" "I'm sure." She paused. "But Dad?" "Yeah?" "If she's mean, you can come home early." Ethan pulled her into a hug, careful not to hold too tight. "Deal." 20 minutes later, he was parking his battered Ford F-150 outside Rosewood Cafe in downtown Portland, questioning every decision that had led him to this moment. The place was nice. Exposed brick, soft lighting, the kind of establishment where people wore scarves as accessories rather than for warmth. Not his world, not even close. His sister Jess had set this up 3 weeks ago, cornering him at Sunday dinner with that particular brand of relentless optimism that made her successful in real estate and exhausting as a sibling. "Her name's Megan," Jess had said, shoving her phone in his face to show him a profile picture of a woman with kind eyes and dark hair. "She's a graphic designer, volunteers at the animal shelter, loves hiking. Jess. And before you give me that look, she knows about Lily." I told her everything. That had stopped him. Everything? That you're a single dad. That Lily was in an accident. That you're basically a saint who works construction and somehow still makes it to every school event. Jess had softened then. "Ethan, you can't keep living like this. You're 38, not dead." "Feels dead most days." "That's exactly why you need this." Now staring at the cafe entrance through rain-streaked glass, Ethan wondered if Jess had any idea what she'd actually set in motion. Because the truth was, he hadn't been on a date since before Lily was born. Hadn't wanted to. Hadn't seen the point in letting someone into their complicated, careful world, only to watch them leave when they realized what they'd signed up for. People said they understood. They never did. He checked his phone, 7:02 p.m., 2 minutes late. He forced himself out of the truck. The cafe was warm and smelled like coffee and something baking. Soft jazz played from hidden speakers. Ethan scanned the room, looking for the woman from Jess's photo. and found her immediately, sitting at a corner table, hands wrapped around a mug like she was trying to absorb its heat through her palms. Megan Rhodes looked exactly like her picture, and nothing like it at the same time. Same dark hair, pulled back in a simple ponytail, same delicate features. But the photo hadn't captured the tension in her shoulders, the way she kept her arms close to her body, the careful stillness that Ethan recognized instantly because he saw it in the mirror every morning. This was a woman who'd learned to take up as little space as possible. He approached slowly, and she looked up. Their eyes met. Something flickered across her face. Recognition, maybe, or resignation. She straightened slightly. "Ethan? That's me." He gestured to the empty chair. "Mind if I sit?" "Please." He sat, feeling clumsy and oversized in the delicate chair. Up close, Megan was prettier than her photo, but there was something brittle about her smile, something practiced about the way she held herself. "I ordered coffee," she said, her voice quiet but clear. "I didn't know if you'd want anything." "Coffee's good." An awkward pause settled between them. Ethan watched her fingers tighten around her mug. She was wearing a long-sleeved blouse despite the warmth of the cafe, he noticed. Navy blue, buttoned to the wrists. "So," Megan said, clearly forcing herself to start, "Jess says you work in construction?" "Yeah, residential mostly. Renovations, additions, that kind of thing." "That must be interesting." "It's work." Ethan shifted in his seat. "She said you do graphic design?" "Freelance, mostly branding for small businesses." Megan's smile was still careful, still practiced. "It's flexible, which is nice." Another silence. Ethan wondered if it was possible to actually die of discomfort, if that was a real medical condition they just didn't talk about. The waitress appeared, saving them both. Ethan ordered coffee, black. Megan ordered nothing else, which told him she'd been here a while working up the nerve. When they were alone again, Megan took a breath that seemed to require all her courage. "I need to tell you something," she said, "before we go any further." Ethan's stomach dropped. Here it was, the moment when people got honest, when the careful social scripts fell away and real life crashed in. He'd been through this before, years ago, when he'd told Lily's mother he wanted to keep the baby. He recognized the tone. "Okay," he said carefully. Megan set down her mug and placed her hands flat on the table, like she was bracing herself. Her sleeves rode up slightly, and Ethan caught a glimpse of something, texture, discoloration, before she tugged them back down with a practiced motion. "I have scars," she said, her voice steady, but her eyes fixed on the table. "Burn scars. From a fire when I was 19. They're extensive. They cover most of my arms, part of my chest, my back." She swallowed hard. "And in my experience, that's usually when people decide this isn't going to work." Ethan stared at her, not at her arms hidden beneath fabric, at her face, the set of her jaw, the way her shoulders had gone rigid with anticipation of rejection. "So I'm telling you now," Megan continued, still not looking at him, "because I'd rather get it over with. I'd rather you leave now than later. I'd rather not spend the next hour pretending this might go somewhere when we both know it won't." Her voice cracked on the last word, just slightly, and Ethan felt something shift in his chest, that same settling sensation he'd felt in Lily's bedroom, but deeper this time. "Can I say something?" he asked quietly. Megan finally looked up, her eyes bright with unshed tears and defiance in equal measure. "Sure." Ethan pulled out his phone, unlocked it, and found the photo he always kept in his favorites. Lily, at the park last summer, grinning at the camera despite everything, her scars visible and vivid in the sunlight. He turned the phone around and slid it across the table. Megan blinked, confused. She looked down at the screen, and Ethan watched her expression change. Surprise, then recognition, then something softer that he couldn't quite name. "That's my daughter," Ethan said. "Lily, she's 7. 2 years ago, there was a house fire at her mother's apartment." He paused, the words still difficult even after all this time. "Her mother didn't make it. Lily did, but she has scars, burn scars, on her face, her shoulder, her arm." Megan's hand had moved to her mouth. She was staring at the photo with an intensity that made Ethan's throat tight. "She's beautiful," Megan whispered. "She is, but she doesn't believe that. She thinks she's broken, She thinks no one will ever want to be her friend because of how she looks. Ethan leaned forward. Every day I watch my little girl try to hide herself. Every day I see her check the mirror and pull back. And every day I try to tell her that scars don't make you less worthy of love. They just mean you survived something hard. A tear slid down Megan's cheek. She didn't brush it away. So no, Ethan said gently. I'm not leaving, because I know exactly what those scars cost you. And I know that anyone who survived what you survived is the opposite of broken. The silence that fell between them then was different. Not awkward, not empty, but full of something Ethan didn't have words for. Megan was openly crying now, silent tears tracking down her face, and she still hadn't looked away from Lily's photo. I don't know what to say, she finally managed. You don't have to say anything. The waitress returned with Ethan's coffee, took one look at the scene, and quietly retreated. Megan reached for a napkin and pressed it to her eyes, laughing a little through her tears. This is the worst first date ever, she said, or the most honest one. She lowered the napkin and looked at him, really looked at him for the first time since he'd sat down. Jess didn't tell you about the scars, did she? No? But you didn't leave. No. Why not? Ethan considered the question seriously. Because I've spent 2 years watching my daughter believe that her scars make her unlovable. And I'll be damned if I contribute to someone else feeling the same way, even by accident. Megan was quiet for a moment. Then she reached for her coffee mug with both hands, and this time when her sleeves rode up, she didn't immediately pull them down. Ethan caught a clearer glimpse of the scarring, thick, textured, covering most of her forearm in patterns that spoke of skin grafts and long recoveries. The fire was at my parents' house, Megan said softly, her eyes on her mug. I was 19, home from college for the weekend. Electrical fire started in the walls while we were sleeping. She took a shaky breath. I woke up to smoke and flames. I got out through my bedroom window. They didn't. I'm sorry, Ethan said, and meant it. I spent 4 months in the hospital, 6 surgeries, physical therapy for a year. Megan's voice was steady now, like she was reciting facts she'd memorized long ago. And when I finally rejoined the world, I learned pretty quickly that people don't want to see this kind of damage. They want you to cover it up, be inspirational from a distance, not make them uncomfortable with the reality of what survival looks like. That's their failure, not yours. Megan looked up sharply. You say that like you believe it. I do. Most people don't. Most people haven't watched their kid learn to hate herself because of other people's discomfort. Something shifted in Megan's expression, a softening, a letting down of guard. She set her mug aside and very deliberately pushed up both sleeves to her elbows. The scars were extensive, just as she'd said. They covered her forearms in overlapping patterns of healed burns, some smooth and shiny, others textured and raised. Different skin tones blended together where grafts had been placed. It was the kind of scarring that told a story of survival and suffering in equal measure. Ethan didn't flinch, didn't look away, didn't offer empty platitudes. He just nodded, acknowledging what she'd shown him. Thank you, he said simply. For what? For trusting me with that. Megan's eyes filled again, but she was smiling now, a real smile, not the practiced one from before. Your turn. My turn? To be honest, she leaned forward slightly. Jess said you're a single dad, that Lily's mother died in the fire. But she didn't say much else, so tell me, what's your story? Ethan ran a hand through his hair, feeling the weight of 2 years of careful isolation pressing down on him. But something about this moment, this woman who'd just bared her own wounds, made him want to be equally honest. Lily's mother, Emma, we weren't together when she got pregnant, he started. We'd dated briefly, broke up, and then 6 months later she showed up at my apartment and told me she was having a baby. My baby. What did you do? Asked her to marry me. Megan's eyebrows rose. Really? Really. But she said no. Said we didn't love each other, that getting married would be a mistake. Ethan smiled sadly at the memory. She was right, but I told her I wanted to be involved, wanted to be a real father, not just a name on a birth certificate. And was she okay with that? Eventually, we worked out a custody arrangement. I had Lily every other week, and we made it work. His smile faded. Emma was a good mother. Not perfect, but good. She loved Lily, would have done anything for her. What happened? Megan asked gently. 2 years ago, electrical fire in her apartment building, middle of the night. Ethan's voice went flat, the way it always did when he told this part. Emma's bedroom was closest to where it started. She never made it out, but Lily's room was farther back. A neighbor broke through the window and pulled her out before the flames reached her, but not before... He didn't finish, didn't need to. And you've been on your own since then, Megan said. Yeah, full custody, full-time job, full-time dad. Ethan shrugged. I wouldn't change it. Lily's the best thing that ever happened to me. But it's hard, watching her struggle. Watching her shut down when other kids stare, watching her stop believing she deserves good things. Does she have people? Friends? A couple, but mostly she keeps to herself. Safer that way in her mind. Megan nodded slowly, understanding crossing her features. I know that feeling. I spent my 20s basically invisible, kept my arms covered, avoided beaches, turned down dates before they could turn me down. She paused. This is actually the first date I've been on in 3 years. Why now? Because I turned 35 last month and realized I was tired of being invisible. Tired of letting one night 13 years ago define every day that came after. Megan met his eyes. But I'm still terrified. Still convinced that this conversation is going to end with you making some excuse and leaving. I'm not leaving, Ethan said firmly. You keep saying that. Because I keep meaning it. They held eye contact for a long moment, and Ethan felt something settle in his chest. Not the cracking sensation from earlier, but something solid. Something that felt almost like hope. The waitress appeared again, this time with menus and a more confident smile. Can I get you two anything to eat? Ethan looked at Megan. You hungry? Actually, yeah, starving. They ordered. Megan got the roasted vegetable panini. Ethan got the burger that came with fries he'd probably regret later. And the conversation shifted to easier topics. They talked about Portland neighborhoods, about the rain that never seemed to stop, about Megan's freelance clients and Ethan's latest renovation project. But underneath the casual exchange, Ethan could feel something deeper forming. It was in the way Megan had stopped hiding her scars, leaving her sleeves pushed up even as she ate. It was in the way she asked about Lily with genuine interest, not the careful avoidance most people employed. It was in the way Ethan found himself wanting to share more, to tell her about the small victories and quiet struggles that made up his daily life. She has nightmares, he said at one point, surprising himself with the admission. At least twice a week, she wakes up screaming, convinced she's still in the fire. Megan set down her panini. Do you ever have them? Sometimes. Usually about getting the call that night, driving to the hospital not knowing if she was alive. Ethan shook his head. But hers are worse. She remembers it. The smoke, the heat, her mother screaming for her to get out. That's a lot for a 7-year-old to carry. It's a lot for anyone to carry. Does she talk to anyone? A therapist? Yeah, Dr. Martinez, she's good, patient, but some things don't get fixed in 50-minute sessions. Ethan pushed a fry around his plate. Mostly I just try to make her feel safe. Try to show her that the world isn't all fire and loss. Sounds like you're a good father. I'm a trying father. Some days that's enough. Megan smiled at that, a soft, knowing smile that suggested she understood the difference. I had nightmares for years. Still do sometimes. I'm back in the house and I can hear my parents calling for me, but I can't find them. Just smoke and burning and voices that keep getting farther away. How do you handle it? Honestly, some nights better than others. I keep a light on. I have an escape plan from every room I sleep in. I check smoke detectors obsessively. She paused. And I remind myself that I survived. That's not nothing. It's everything. They finished their meal slowly, neither one seeming eager to end the evening. When the waitress brought the check, Ethan reached for it automatically, but Megan shook her head. Split it, she said. I pay my own way. You sure? I'm sure. This isn't... She hesitated, choosing her words carefully. I don't want you to feel like you owe me anything, or like I owe you. I just want this to be honest. Ethan understood. In her world, accepting help probably felt like accepting pity. He handed her half the check. Outside, the rain had softened to a drizzle. They stood under the cafe's awning, neither one quite ready to leave. "So," Megan said, hugging her arms around herself, "this was unexpected. Good unexpected or bad unexpected?" "Good? Definitely good." She looked up at him. "Can I ask you something?" "Sure." "Would you want to do this again? Another date?" Ethan felt relief flood through him, followed immediately by something that felt dangerously close to joy. "Yeah, I would. Even with everything you know now?" "Especially with everything I know now." Megan smiled, that real smile again, the one that transformed her whole face. "Okay, good." They exchanged numbers, made tentative plans for coffee later that week. Ethan walked her to her car, an older Honda Civic that had seen better days but looked well maintained. "Drive safe," he said. "You too." But before she got in, Megan turned back to him. "Ethan?" "Yeah?" "Would you—" She took a breath. "This might be too much to ask, but would you maybe want to bring Lily next time? Not on a date," she added quickly. "Just coffee, or the park. Something casual." Ethan stared at her, momentarily speechless. "You want to meet her?" "I think I might be able to help, or at least understand. I know what it's like to look in the mirror and hate what you see. I know what it's like when adults tell you you're beautiful, but you can see the lie in their eyes." Megan's voice was steady, certain. "I'm not saying I have all the answers, but maybe hearing it from someone who actually knows, who actually lived it, maybe that would mean something." Ethan's throat was tight. He nodded, not trusting his voice. "Think about it," Megan said gently. "No pressure. If you decide it's too much, I understand." "I'll think about it." She got in her car then, and Ethan watched her drive away, her taillights disappearing into the Portland drizzle. He stood there for a long moment, processing everything that had just happened. A blind date that should have been awkward and forgettable had somehow become the most honest conversation he'd had in 2 years. A woman he'd just met had offered something he'd never thought to hope for. Someone who could speak to his daughter in the language of survival. Someone who understood scars from the inside out. Ethan pulled out his phone and called Jess. "How'd it go?" She answered immediately. "Tell me everything. Did you like her? Did she like you? Are you seeing her again?" "Jess, breathe." "I'm breathing. Talk." "It was good. Really good. We're meeting up again later this week." Jess's squeal nearly deafened him. "I knew it. I knew you two would hit it off." "There's something you should know," Ethan said. "About Megan." "What?" "She has burn scars from a fire that killed her parents. She's been dealing with them for over a decade." Silence on the other end. Then, quietly, "I didn't know." "I figured. But Jess?" Ethan looked up at the rainy sky, feeling something like gratitude settle over him. "Thank you for setting this up, for pushing me, for believing I needed this." "Of course. That's what annoying little sisters are for." Her voice softened. "I'm happy for you, Ethan. You deserve this." "Maybe. We'll see." When he got home, Jess was on the couch with a book, and Lily was asleep in her bed, stuffed animals still in their semicircle. Ethan paid his sister, thanked her again, and then sat in Lily's doorway for a while, just watching her breathe. She looked peaceful in sleep, the scars less angry somehow, just part of her face rather than the defining feature. He thought about Megan's offer, about what it might mean for Lily to meet someone who understood her pain in a way that Ethan, for all his love, never could. It was a risk. Opening their world to someone new always was. But something about tonight had felt different. Megan hadn't offered pity or empty optimism. She'd offered recognition, understanding, the simple acknowledgement that survival left marks, and those marks didn't make you less worthy of connection. Ethan made a decision then, sitting in his daughter's doorway in the middle of a rainy Portland night. He would call Megan tomorrow. He would say yes to coffee, or the park, or whatever felt right. He would let someone new into their careful, constructed world. Because Lily deserved to know that her scars didn't make her unlovable, and maybe hearing that from someone who'd walked the same burning path would finally help her believe it. Outside, the rain picked up again, steady and persistent. But inside, in the quiet darkness of his daughter's room, Ethan felt something shift, the first small movement toward a future that might include hope, healing, and the possibility that broken things could fit together in ways that made them stronger than they'd ever been alone. The morning after the date, Ethan woke to find Lily already in the kitchen, carefully arranging cereal pieces into patterns on the table. She did this sometimes when she was thinking hard about something, creating order out of small things she could control. "Morning, Bug," he said, moving to start the coffee maker. "Was she nice?" Lily asked without looking up. Ethan paused, measuring grounds into the filter. "Yeah, she was really nice." "Are you going to see her again?" "I think so. Would that be okay with you?" Lily pushed a Cheerio into alignment with the others. "Aunt Jess says when grown-ups date, sometimes they get married, and then there's a new person living in your house." Ethan sat down across from her, recognizing this conversation for what it was. Not casual curiosity, but careful fear dressed up as questions. "That's getting pretty far ahead of things. Right now it's just coffee and talking." "But it could happen. Someday, maybe. With someone." He reached out and stilled her restless hands. "But nobody's moving into our house, Lily. Not without us both being ready. And definitely not without you meeting them first and deciding if you like them." She finally looked up at him, those two old eyes searching his face. "What if I don't like her? Then I'd need to know why. And we'd figure it out together." Lily seemed to consider this, then went back to her cereal patterns. "Okay." Ethan watched her for a moment longer, then pulled out his phone. He'd been composing and deleting a text to Megan since 5 that morning, unable to find the right words. Finally, he just wrote what he felt. "Lily wants to know if you were nice. I told her you were. She's nervous about meeting new people, but I think your idea about coffee or the park might be good for her. If you're still willing." The response came faster than he expected. "I'm willing. But let me follow her lead. No pressure, no expectations. Just 3 people getting to know each other. Saturday afternoon, there's a park near us with a good playground. Perfect. Send me the address." Ethan set down his phone and looked at his daughter, who was now eating her cereal one piece at a time, still focused on maintaining the pattern. He wondered what he was getting them into, whether this was help or harm disguised as hope. But then he thought about Megan's scars, uncovered and unashamed by the end of their date. He thought about her understanding of what it meant to carry visible wounds through an unforgiving world, and he decided to trust his instinct that this might be exactly what Lily needed. "Hey, Bug," he said. "Yeah? How would you feel about going to the park on Saturday? With me and a new friend?" Lily's hand froze halfway to her mouth. "What kind of friend?" "The kind who knows what it's like to be scared of mirrors." Something flickered across Lily's face. Interest, maybe, or hope trying to surface through layers of protective numbness. "She has scars too?" "She does." "On her face?" "On her arms, mostly, from a fire when she was younger." Lily set down her spoon very carefully. "Does she hide them?" "She used to, but she's trying not to anymore." His daughter was quiet for a long moment, processing this information with the gravity of someone much older. Finally, she nodded once, decisive. "Okay, I'll meet her." The days between Monday and Saturday moved with excruciating slowness. Ethan worked his regular construction jobs, came home to make dinner, helped with homework, read bedtime stories. The normal rhythm of their life. But underneath it all, he felt the approaching Saturday like a countdown to something that could either help or hurt. Lily asked questions. Careful ones, scattered throughout the week like seeds she was planning to see what might grow. "What's her name?" "Megan." "How old is she?" 35. "Does she have kids?" "No." "Why not?" Ethan had to think about that one. "I don't know." We didn't talk about it. On Thursday night, while Ethan was washing dishes, Lily appeared beside him with a drawing. She'd sketched 2 stick figures, one tall, one small, standing next to a third figure with long hair and carefully detailed lines running down both arms. "Is this okay?" she asked, her voice small. Ethan dried his hands and took the drawing, his throat suddenly tight. "This is perfect, Bug." You want to give it to her on Saturday? Lily nodded, then hesitated. Dad? What if she thinks I'm ugly? The question hit him like a physical blow. He knelt down so they were eye level, hands on her shoulders. Listen to me. You are not ugly, not even a little bit. You're beautiful and brave and strong, and anyone who can't see that isn't worth your time. He waited until she met his eyes. And Megan won't think that, I promise you. How do you know? Because she carries the same scars you do, just in a different place. And she knows that scars don't make you less, they make you a survivor. Lily's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't let them fall. Instead, she threw her arms around Ethan's neck and held on tight, and he held her back, wishing he could protect her from every cruel thought and careless word she'd ever face. Friday evening, Megan called. Ethan was in the garage organizing tools while Lily watched a movie inside, and he answered on the second ring. Hey yourself. Megan's voice was warm but nervous. So, I've been thinking about tomorrow. Yeah? I don't want to mess this up. With Lily, I know how important this is. Ethan leaned against his workbench, grateful for her honesty. Just be yourself, that's all I'm asking. What if myself isn't enough? What if I say the wrong thing or she doesn't like me or some... Megan. He kept his voice gentle. You survived a fire that killed your parents. You rebuilt your life from nothing. You learned to live with scars that make strangers uncomfortable. I think you can handle coffee with a 7-year-old. He heard her exhale, long and shaky. When you put it that way, I'm not expecting miracles. I'm just hoping for connection. Connection I can do. A pause. Ethan, thank you for trusting me with this. Thank you for offering. After they hung up, Ethan stood in the garage for a while longer, surrounded by the tools of his trade. Hammers and saws and levels, all the instruments he used to build and fix and make things whole. He thought about what he was attempting here, bringing together his wounded daughter and a woman he barely knew but somehow trusted completely. It was either the best idea he'd ever had or the worst. Tomorrow would tell him which. Saturday dawned clear and bright, one of those rare Portland days when the rain took a break and the world remembered what sunshine looked like. Ethan made pancakes while Lily got dressed, changing her outfit 3 times before settling on jeans and her favorite purple hoodie, the one with sleeves long enough to cover her hands when she got nervous. You don't have to hide, Ethan said gently when she came into the kitchen. I know, but I want to. She climbed onto her chair. Just in case. He didn't push it. Small steps. They arrived at Laurelhurst Park 15 minutes early, and Lily immediately gravitated toward the swings, seeking the familiar comfort of routine. Ethan pushed her slowly, watching the entrance, trying to calm his own nerves. Megan appeared at exactly 2 o'clock, walking up the path with a careful confidence that Ethan was starting to recognize as her default setting, moving through the world like she had every right to be there but ready to retreat at the first sign of rejection. Today she wore jeans and a simple green sweater, sleeves pushed up to her elbows without hesitation. The scars on her forearms were fully visible, catching the afternoon light. Ethan felt a surge of respect for that choice, knowing what it cost her. Hi, she said when she reached them, and her smile was nervous but genuine. Hi. Ethan slowed the swing. Lily, this is Megan. Megan, my daughter, Lily. Lily had gone very still, her grip tight on the swing chains. She was staring at Megan's arms with an intensity that might have been rude in another context, but Megan didn't flinch or cover herself. She just stood there, letting Lily look. Hi, Lily, Megan said softly. It's nice to meet you. Lily didn't respond immediately. Her eyes traveled from Megan's scars to her face and back again, processing something Ethan couldn't quite follow. Finally, she spoke. Do they hurt? Not anymore, Megan said. Sometimes they're tight or itchy, but they don't hurt like they used to. Mine hurt sometimes, at night mostly. I remember that. It gets better, I promise. Lily seemed to consider this, then made a decision. She let go of the swing chains and pulled back her left sleeve, revealing the scars that tracked up her arm, angry red marks that the doctors said would fade to pink, then white, over the years. Mine are from a fire too, she said. Megan nodded seriously. I know, your dad told me. I'm sorry that happened to you. I'm sorry it happened to you too. Something passed between them in that moment, some wordless recognition that Ethan couldn't fully access. He watched his daughter's posture shift slightly, the defensive hunch in her shoulders easing just a fraction. "Want to see the rest of the park?" Ethan suggested, sensing they needed movement, activity, something to do besides stare at each other's wounds. They walked the main path together, Lily between them, pointing out her favorite trees and the pond where ducks sometimes gathered. Megan listened with genuine interest, asking questions that showed she was really paying attention. "That's the big oak where Dad and I have picnics sometimes," Lily said, gesturing to a massive tree with spreading branches. "And over there is where the ice cream truck parks in summer." "What's your favorite flavor?" Megan asked. "Chocolate chip. What's yours?" "Mint chocolate chip." "That's Dad's favorite too." They ended up at the playground and Lily ran ahead to the monkey bars. Ethan and Megan stood watching, close enough to talk quietly but far enough to give Lily space. "She's wonderful," Megan said. "She's struggling," Ethan replied honestly. "Every day is a battle between wanting to be normal and feeling like she'll never be normal again." "I know that battle. Fought it for years." Megan watched Lily swing across the bars with determined focus. "Does she have friends at school?" "A couple, but she keeps most kids at arm's length. Safer that way." "Safer and lonelier." "Yeah." Megan was quiet for a moment. Then she called out, "Hey Lily, can I try the monkey bars?" Lily stopped mid-swing, surprised. "You want to?" "Sure, if you'll show me how." What followed was 10 minutes of Lily very seriously instructing Megan on proper monkey bar technique, while Megan made exaggerated efforts and failed spectacularly several times, which made Lily laugh. Real, genuine laughter that Ethan hadn't heard in weeks. When Megan finally made it across, Lily actually clapped. "You did it!" "Only because I had a good teacher." Megan dropped down beside Lily. "You're really strong. I could barely make it halfway when I was your age." "Really? Really? Of course I didn't have as much practice. What's your secret?" Lily glowed under the attention. "I come here a lot with Dad, and I practice at school sometimes, even though the other kids think it's weird." "Why do they think it's weird?" The question was gentle, but Lily's face shuddered slightly. "Because I wear long sleeves even when it's hot, and because when they see my scars, they ask questions I don't want to answer." Megan nodded like this made perfect sense. "I used to do the same thing. Wore long sleeves all through high school and college, even in summer. Got really good at making excuses about being cold or having sensitive skin." "Did people believe you?" "Some did, some didn't. The ones who didn't would stare and whisper, and I'd pretend not to notice." Lily looked down at her own covered arms. "I hate when people stare." "Me too. It makes you feel like a zoo animal, right? Like you're something strange to be gawked at instead of a regular person." "Yes!" Lily's voice was emphatic, relieved to be understood. "That's exactly it." Ethan watched this exchange with something close to awe. In 5 minutes, Megan had gotten further with Lily than months of therapy sessions. Not because she was trained or practiced, but because she knew. She'd lived it. "Can I tell you something?" Megan said, sitting down on the edge of the playground and gesturing for Lily to join her. "Something I wish someone had told me when I was younger?" Lily sat down carefully, curious. "Okay." "The staring doesn't stop. People are always going to be curious or uncomfortable or rude. That part isn't fair and it isn't your fault, but it's true." Megan held up a hand before Lily could respond. "But here's what I learned. You get to decide what the scars mean, not them. You." "I don't understand." "Right now, you're letting other people's reactions tell you that your scars make you less than, that they make you ugly or weird or wrong." Megan's voice was firm but kind. "But scars just mean you survived something hard. They mean you're tough. They mean you're still here when you could have not been. And that's not ugly, that's brave." Lily's eyes were huge. "But people don't see it that way. Some people won't, but the people worth knowing will." Megan gestured to Ethan. "Your dad sees it, I see it, and someday you'll see it too." "When?" "I don't know. Took me a long time, way longer than 7 years old, but I got there. And you will too." Lily was quiet, absorbing this. Then she reached into her pocket and pulled out the folded drawing she'd made, handing it to Megan with sudden shyness. I made this for you. Megan unfolded it carefully, and Ethan saw her expression shift, surprise, then something deeper. She studied the drawing of 3 stick figures for a long moment. This is beautiful, Lily. Can I keep it? Really? Really? I'm going to put it on my refrigerator when I get home. Lily beamed, and Ethan felt his chest constrict with gratitude and something else, something that felt dangerously like falling. They stayed at the park for another hour. Megan and Lily played on the slides together while Ethan watched, marveling at how natural they were with each other. There was no forcing, no trying too hard, just 2 people who understood each other's pain finding ease in that shared understanding. When the sun started to dip lower, casting long shadows across the grass, Ethan suggested ice cream. They walked to a nearby shop and Lily chattered the whole way about school and her favorite books and the cat she wanted to adopt, but Dad said they weren't ready for yet. At the shop, Lily ordered chocolate chip, Ethan got mint chocolate chip, and Megan surprised them both by getting strawberry. Traitor, Ethan said, mock serious. I contain multitudes, Megan replied, grinning. They ate their ice cream on a bench outside, Lily swinging her legs and getting more on her face than in her mouth. When she finished, she looked at Megan with sudden seriousness. Can I ask you something? Of course. Do you ever wish you didn't have scars? Megan thought about this carefully before answering. Sometimes, yeah. I wish I didn't have to explain them. I wish I could wear short sleeves without planning for questions. I wish I'd gotten to grow up without this particular kind of pain. She paused. But I don't wish they'd never happened because then my parents would still be gone and I wouldn't have any proof that I fought like hell to survive. Does that make sense? Lily nodded slowly. I think so. Like the scars are sad but also important? Exactly, they're both, and that's okay. My mom died in the fire too, Lily said quietly. Sometimes I feel bad that I'm alive and she's not. Ethan's breath caught, but Megan didn't miss a beat. That's called survivor's guilt, she said gently. I have it too. Still do, some days. But Lily, your mom would want you to be alive. She would want you to be happy. The best way to honor her isn't to feel guilty. It's to live the biggest, fullest life you can. Tears were streaming down Lily's face now, but she didn't hide them. She just let them fall, and when Megan opened her arms, Lily folded into them without hesitation. Ethan had to look away, his own eyes burning. He watched the street, the passing cars, the people walking by who had no idea they were witnessing something sacred. When he finally looked back, Megan was holding his daughter like she'd been doing it for years, and Lily was crying against her shoulder in a way she'd never let herself cry with Ethan. Sometimes healing required the exact right kind of witness. When Lily finally pulled back, she wiped her face on her sleeve and gave Megan a watery smile. Thank you. For what? For understanding. Always, kiddo. Always. They walked back to the park slowly, the afternoon stretching into early evening. At the parking lot, they stood in that awkward space between goodbye and wanting to stay. This was really nice, Megan said, looking at Ethan. Thank you for letting me be part of it. Thank you for being part of it, he replied. Lily tugged on Megan's hand. Can you come back? To the park or our house or somewhere? Megan looked at Ethan, questioning. He nodded. I'd like that very much, Megan told Lily. If your dad says it's okay. It's okay, Ethan said firmly. It's more than okay. They made plans for the following weekend. Dinner at Ethan's place. Nothing fancy, just the 3 of them. As Megan drove away, Lily waved until her car disappeared around the corner. I like her, Lily announced. Yeah? Yeah, she gets it. She doesn't try to make me feel better by saying things that aren't true. Ethan wrapped an arm around his daughter's shoulders. No, she doesn't. Dad? Yeah, bug. Do you think maybe someday I could not wear long sleeves all the time, like Megan does? Ethan's throat tightened. I think someday you could do whatever makes you feel strong. I think maybe I could try, not at school yet, but at home maybe. That would be brave. Megan says scars are brave. Megan's right. That night, after Lily was asleep, Ethan sat on his porch with a beer and called Jess. "Well?" she demanded. "How'd it go?" "Better than I could have hoped. Lily loved her. They connected in this way that I don't even have words for." "That's amazing, Ethan." "It is, and it's terrifying." He took a long drink. "Because what if this doesn't work out? What if Megan and I don't make it as a couple? Lily's already attached." "Then you'll handle it like you handle everything else, carefully and with Lily's best interests first." Jess paused. "But, Ethan, maybe don't borrow trouble. Maybe just let yourself have something good for once." After they hung up, Ethan sat in the darkness, thinking about Megan's scars and Lily's tears and the way two wounded people had recognized each other instantly. He thought about how sometimes the universe aligned in ways that felt less like coincidence and more like grace. His phone buzzed with a text from Megan. "Thank you for today. Lily is extraordinary. You're raising an incredible kid." He replied, "Thank you for seeing her, really seeing her, always. That's the easy part." Ethan looked up at the sky, clear for once, stars visible through the city lights. He thought about second chances and unexpected connections, and the possibility that broken things could find each other in the darkness and create something whole. Inside, his daughter slept without nightmares for the first time in weeks. And for the first time in 2 years, Ethan let himself believe that maybe, just maybe, they were going to be okay. The week that followed felt different in ways Ethan couldn't quite articulate. Lily seemed lighter somehow, less weighed down by the invisible burden she'd been carrying. She still wore long sleeves to school, still kept her distance from most of the other kids, but at home she'd started pushing up her sleeves while doing homework, revealing the scars without the usual accompanying anxiety. "It's weird," she told Ethan on Wednesday evening while they made dinner together. "Like, I know they're still there, but they don't feel as heavy anymore." Ethan paused in chopping vegetables. "What changed?" Lily thought about this, her small face serious. Megan didn't look at them like they were sad. She looked at them like they were just part of me, like my brown eyes or my freckles. That's because they are just part of you. I know, but knowing it and feeling it are different things. Ethan marveled at his 7-year-old's wisdom, wondering when exactly she'd gotten so insightful. He suspected trauma had a way of forcing children to grow up faster than they should, understanding nuances of human nature that most kids her age never had to consider. Megan had been texting throughout the week, nothing invasive, just gentle check-ins that showed she was thinking about them. Photos of her design work, funny stories about difficult clients, questions about Lily's favorite foods for the upcoming dinner. Ethan found himself looking forward to each message, the small thrill of connection that came with seeing her name on his screen. On Thursday, she sent a photo of Lily's drawing on her refrigerator, exactly as promised. "Most important artwork in my apartment," the caption read. Ethan showed it to Lily, who beamed with pride. "She really kept it. She really did. Dad, can we make something special for dinner on Saturday, like really good? What did you have in mind?" Megan said she loves pasta. "Maybe we could make spaghetti and meatballs? From scratch?" Ethan looked at his daughter, seeing the eagerness in her eyes, the desire to give something back to the person who'd given her so much. "From scratch it is, but you're helping." "Deal." Saturday arrived with typical Portland rain, steady and relentless. Ethan spent the morning cleaning the house with an attention to detail that Jess would have found hilarious, vacuuming corners that hadn't seen attention in months, scrubbing the bathroom until it gleamed. Lily helped, dusting the living room and arranging her stuffed animals in what she declared was their most welcoming formation. "We want Megan to feel comfortable," she explained seriously. "I think Megan would feel comfortable even if the place was a mess," Ethan said, but he appreciated his daughter's effort. They started making dinner at 3, giving themselves plenty of time. Ethan showed Lily how to mix the meatball ingredients, how to roll them just right, how to build layers of flavor in the sauce. She listened with intense focus, determined to get everything perfect. "What if she doesn't like it?" Lily asked while forming her 5th meatball. "Then we'll order pizza and laugh about it." "But I want it to be good." Ethan stopped what he was doing and crouched beside her. "Bug, Megan's not coming here because of the food. She's coming because she wants to spend time with us. The spaghetti is just an excuse. Really? Really? Lily seemed reassured by this, but she still approached the cooking with serious dedication. By 5:30, the house smelled incredible and the table was set with the nice dishes they usually saved for holidays. Lily had even picked wildflowers from the backyard and arranged them in a mason jar as a centerpiece. Megan arrived at exactly 6, carrying a bottle of wine and wearing jeans and a soft blue sweater that brought out her eyes. Her scars were visible as always, and Ethan felt that now familiar surge of respect for her refusal to hide. "Something smells amazing," she said, stepping into the warmth of the house. "We made spaghetti from scratch," Lily announced proudly. "I did the meatballs mostly by myself." "No way! That's so impressive." Megan handed Ethan the wine, then focused entirely on Lily. "Did you use the secret ingredient?" Lily's eyes widened. "What secret ingredient?" "Love. That's what makes food taste really good, when it's made with love." "Then ours will be the best ever, because I used lots of love." They settled into the evening easily, more naturally than Ethan had expected. Megan admired Lily's room, asked about the significance of each stuffed animal, listened with genuine interest to stories about school and friends and the latest drama in second grade. She treated Lily like a whole person rather than a child to be talked down to, and Lily responded by opening up in ways that constantly surprised Ethan. Over dinner, the conversation flowed smoothly. Lily asked Megan about her work, fascinated by the idea of creating logos and websites. "So you make the pictures that companies use?" Lily asked, around a mouthful of spaghetti. "Exactly. I help them figure out what they want to look like, and then I design it. Could you design something for me?" "What would you want?" Lily thought about this seriously. "A logo for my stuffed animal hospital. I fix them when they get hurt." Megan's expression softened. "I would be honored to design a logo for your stuffed animal hospital. We can work on it together if you want." "Really? Really? Maybe next time I visit, we can sketch some ideas." The promise of next time hung in the air like a blessing. Ethan watched his daughter glow under Megan's attention, watched the easy way they interacted, and felt something in his chest expand with possibility. After dinner, while Ethan cleaned up, Megan and Lily sat on the living room floor working on a puzzle. He could hear their conversation from the kitchen, the comfortable rhythm of it. "Can I ask you something personal?" Lily's voice was quiet but curious. "Of course." "Do you ever get scared that people won't like you because of your scars?" Ethan paused in loading the dishwasher, listening. "All the time," Megan admitted. "Even now, even after years of working on it. I still get nervous meeting new people, still worry they're going to judge me." "But you show them anyway. Your scars, I mean." "I do now. But it took me a long time to get here. For years I hid them. Wore long sleeves in summer, avoided beaches and pools, turned down invitations to anything that might require showing skin." Megan's voice was gentle, honest. "And you know what I learned?" "What?" "Hiding them made me feel safer, but it also made me feel invisible. Like I was disappearing myself before anyone else could. And that's not living. That's just surviving." "I feel invisible sometimes," Lily said softly. "Like if I stay quiet enough and covered up enough, maybe people won't notice me and I won't have to explain." "I know that feeling, but Lily, you deserve to be seen, the real you, scars and all." There was a pause, then Lily asked, "How do you get brave enough?" "Honestly, I had to practice. Started small, short sleeves at home, then at the grocery store, then at work. Each time it got a little easier, and each time someone was kind instead of cruel. It reminded me that most people aren't as scary as I thought." "Were some people mean?" "Some were. Some stared. Some asked rude questions. Some made assumptions." Megan's voice didn't waver. "But those people taught me something important too. They taught me who not to waste my time on." Ethan finished the dishes quietly, moved by the conversation happening in the next room. When he joined them in the living room, he found Lily curled up next to Megan on the couch, the puzzle abandoned in favor of closeness. "Hey, Dad, can Megan see my room again? I want to show her the pictures I've been drawing." "If Megan wants to." "I definitely want to," Megan said. They disappeared upstairs and Ethan used the moment alone to text Jess. "She's perfect. Lily's in love with her. I think I might be too. Jess's response was immediate. Don't think, feel, and don't screw this up. Helpful as always. That's what sisters are for. When Megan and Lily came back downstairs 20 minutes later, Lily was wearing a short-sleeved shirt, the first time Ethan had seen her in one outside the house since the fire. The scars on her arm were fully visible, and she looked both terrified and proud. Megan caught Ethan's eye over Lily's head, and the look they shared was full of understanding and hope, and something deeper that Ethan wasn't quite ready to name. "You look beautiful, Bug," he said carefully. "Megan helped me pick it out. She said maybe I could practice being brave at home first, before trying it anywhere else." "That's very smart. Do I really look okay?" The vulnerability in Lily's voice nearly broke him. "You look like yourself, and yourself is perfect." Later, after Lily had reluctantly changed back into her pajamas and been tucked into bed, Ethan and Megan sat on the porch with the wine she'd brought, listening to the rain and the distant sounds of the city. "Thank you," Ethan said after a while, "for everything you did tonight, for everything you're doing for her." "I'm not doing anything special, just being honest. That's exactly what makes it special. She trusts you in a way she doesn't trust most adults." He paused. "In a way she doesn't even fully trust me. That's because you're her dad. You're supposed to think she's perfect. But me?" Megan took a sip of wine. "I'm proof that you can have scars and still be okay. That's different than parental love. That's lived evidence. Still, what you're giving her is extraordinary." Megan was quiet for a moment, then said, "Can I tell you something?" "Anything." "This scares me, not Lily. She's wonderful. But this whole situation, getting close to both of you, starting to care." She looked at him in the dim porch light. "I haven't let myself care about anyone in a long time. It's safer not to." "I know the feeling." "Do you?" "Because from where I'm sitting, you seem like you have your life figured out. Good dad, stable job, clear priorities." Ethan laughed without humor. "I'm a single father raising a traumatized child while working construction and trying not to completely fall apart. I don't have anything figured out." "You could have fooled me." "Then I'm a better actor than I thought." He set down his wine glass. "Megan, I'm terrified too. Of this, of us, of what it means that my daughter is already attached to you. Because if this doesn't work out, it'll hurt her. It'll hurt all of us." They sat with that truth for a while, the weight of it settling between them. Finally, Megan reached over and took his hand, her scarred palm warm against his. "So what do we do?" she asked. "I don't know. Try, I guess. Be careful with each other. Be honest." Ethan squeezed her hand. "And maybe trust that sometimes broken things fit together better than whole ones ever could." Megan leaned her head against his shoulder, and they stayed like that for a long time, watching the rain and holding on to each other in the darkness. Over the following weeks, Megan became a regular presence in their lives. She came for dinner twice a week, sometimes more. She and Lily worked on the stuffed animal hospital logo together, sprawled on the living room floor with markers and paper, debating color schemes and design elements with equal seriousness. She helped with homework, taught Lily how to braid hair, told stories about her own childhood that made Lily laugh. And slowly, carefully, she and Ethan built something that felt like the beginning of love. They went on actual dates when Jess could babysit, dinner at quiet restaurants, walks along the waterfront, a movie that they both forgot about halfway through because they were too busy talking. They learned each other's histories, the wounds and victories that had shaped them. Megan told him about the years of therapy, the support groups, the slow journey toward self-acceptance. Ethan told her about Emma, about the guilt he still carried that he'd been at work when the fire started, about the helplessness of watching Lily suffer. "You know it wasn't your fault, right?" Megan said one night as they walked along the Willamette River. "Logically, yes. Emotionally, I'm not sure I'll ever fully believe that. That's the thing about trauma. Logic doesn't always help." She threaded her fingers through his. "But maybe we can help each other carry it, make it lighter by sharing the weight." Ethan pulled her close, kissed her temple. "How'd you get so wise?" "Survival. It either breaks you or teaches you. I got lucky with the teaching part." One Saturday afternoon in late October, 6 weeks after their first meeting at the park, Megan showed up at the house with an idea. There's a support group, she said, sitting at the kitchen table while Ethan made coffee. For burn survivors. All ages. I went for years after my fire, and I still go sometimes when I need the reminder that I'm not alone. You thinking about going back? I'm thinking about taking Lily. Ethan nearly dropped the coffee pot. What? Hear me out. Megan's voice was calm, steady. There are other kids there. Kids with scars like hers. Kids who understand what she's going through in ways that even I can't fully get, because they're living it right now, at her age. She leaned forward. I think it might help her to see she's not the only 7-year-old dealing with this. Ethan sat down heavily. You really think she's ready for that? I think she's braver than we give her credit for. And I think she needs to see other kids who wear their scars without shame. What if it's too much? What if it makes things worse? Then we leave. No pressure, no forcing. We just go, see how it feels, and if it's not right, we don't go back. Megan reached across the table and took his hand. But Ethan, I've seen the way she's been changing. She wore short sleeves for an hour last week. She told me she's been thinking about showing her scars at school. She's ready to take the next step. Ethan wanted to protect his daughter from everything, wrap her in safety, and never let the world hurt her again. But he also knew that protection could become prison if he wasn't careful. Let me talk to her, he said finally. See what she thinks. That evening, after dinner, Ethan and Lily sat in her room while she arranged her stuffed animals for bed. Bug, Megan had an idea she wanted to run by us. Lily looked up, interested. What kind of idea? There's a group for people who have burn scars, all different ages. They meet once a month to talk and support each other. He watched her face carefully. Megan used to go after her fire. She thought maybe you might want to try it, see if you like it. Lily's hand stilled on the stuffed bear she was holding. Would other kids be there? Some, yeah. Kids your age, teenagers, adults, all people who understand what you're going through. Would you come with me? If you want me to. Would Megan? I'm sure she would if you asked. Lily was quiet for a long time, processing. Finally, she said, What if they don't like me? What if they do? She considered this, then made one of those two grown-up decisions that kept surprising him. Okay, I'll try it. Once. But if I don't like it, I don't have to go back, right? Right. One time, see how it feels, no pressure. Okay. She paused. Dad? Is Megan going to be around for a long time? The question caught him off guard. I hope so. Why? Because I really like her. And if she's going to leave someday, I want to know now so I can prepare. Ethan's heart cracked at the careful self-protection in his daughter's voice, the way she was already anticipating loss before it could blindside her. Lily, come here. He pulled her onto his lap, even though she was getting too big for it. Megan cares about you very much, and she cares about me. None of us know exactly what the future holds, but right now, she's not going anywhere. But Mom wasn't supposed to go anywhere either. There it was, the fear underneath everything, the wound that shaped all of Lily's other wounds. Ethan held her tighter. You're right. Mom wasn't supposed to leave, and that was terrible and unfair and not your fault. He waited until she looked at him. But Bug, we can't stop living because we're afraid of losing people. We have to take the risk of loving them anyway. Even when it hurts? Especially when it hurts, because the love is worth it. Lily thought about this, then nodded against his chest. Okay, I'll try to be brave. You're already the bravest person I know. The support group met in a community center across town on the second Sunday of each month. When the day arrived, Lily was anxious but determined, dressed in long sleeves but carrying a short-sleeved shirt in her backpack, just in case. Megan met them in this parking lot, and her presence seemed to calm Lily immediately. She took Lily's hand as they walked in, and Ethan followed behind, watching the two of them together and feeling that familiar expansion in his chest. The meeting room was warm and welcoming, with chairs arranged in a circle and a table of snacks along one wall. There were maybe 20 people there, ranging from young children to elderly adults. Ethan noticed immediately that about half of them had visible scars, arms, faces, necks, while others kept theirs covered. A woman in her 50s approached them with a kind smile. "Welcome. I'm Patricia. I help facilitate. You must be Lily." Lily pressed closer to Megan, but managed a small "Hi. We're so glad you're here. We have a few other kids your age. They're over by the games table if you want to say hello, or you can stay with your dad and Megan, whatever feels comfortable." Lily looked up at Megan, who squeezed her hand. "Want to go check it out together?" "Okay." Ethan watched them cross the room to where 3 other children were playing a board game. 2 girls and a boy, all around Lily's age, all with visible burn scars. One of the girls looked up and smiled. "Want to play? We're doing sorry." Lily hesitated, then nodded. She and Megan sat down, and within minutes, Lily was engaged in the game, her initial nervousness fading. The meeting started with Patricia welcoming everyone and reminding them of the group's guidelines. No judgment, confidentiality, respect for everyone's journey. Then people started sharing, going around the circle. Ethan listened to stories of survival and struggle, of setbacks and small victories. A teenager talked about going to prom despite her scars. An older man discussed finally retiring and not caring what anyone thought anymore. A mother shared her son's progress in physical therapy. When it was Megan's turn, she spoke clearly and without shame. "I'm Megan. I've been coming to this group off and on for 13 years. My scars are from a house fire that killed my parents." She gestured to Lily. "I brought a new friend today. Lily lost her mother in a fire 2 years ago, and she's learning that her scars don't define her. Watching her be brave has reminded me why this group matters, because none of us should have to feel alone in this." Several people nodded in agreement. When the sharing reached the kids section, the girl who'd invited Lily to play stood up. "I'm Emma. I'm 8. I got burned when I was 5 because I pulled a pot of boiling water off the stove." She said it matter-of-factly, without shame. "I used to hate my scars, but now I think they're kind of cool because they make me different." The boy next to her went next. "I'm Marcus. I'm 7. My scars are from a car accident. Sometimes kids at school are mean, but my mom says that's their problem, not mine." Then it was Lily's turn. She looked terrified, but Megan gave her an encouraging nod. Lily stood up slowly. "I'm Lily. I'm 7 too. My scars are from a fire at my mom's apartment." Her voice was barely above a whisper, but everyone listened intently. "My mom died. I didn't, and I'm trying to learn how to be okay with my scars, but it's really hard." "It is hard," Patricia said gently, "but you're in the right place. Everyone here understands." After the formal sharing, the group broke into smaller conversations. Lily ended up sitting with Emma and Marcus, the 3 of them comparing scars and swapping stories about school and friends, and the things that helped when they felt sad. Ethan watched from across the room, talking with some of the parents, but his attention kept drifting back to his daughter. She was smiling, laughing, showing her arm to the other kids without any of her usual anxiety. Megan appeared at his elbow. "She's doing great." "She really is." Ethan turned to her. "This was exactly what she needed. Thank you for knowing that. I just remembered what helped me, and hoped it would help her too." They stood together, watching Lily integrate into this community of survivors, and Ethan felt something shift in his understanding of their future. This wasn't just about him and Megan anymore. It was about building a support system, a chosen family, a network of people who understood what they were carrying. At the end of the meeting, Lily asked if they could come back next month. Emma had invited her to exchange phone numbers, and Marcus's mom had mentioned a play date at the park. On the drive home, Lily was more animated than Ethan had seen her in months. "Did you see Emma's scars? They're on her whole leg and she still wears shorts to school. She says some kids are mean, but she doesn't care because she knows she's tough." Lily bounced in her seat. "And Marcus showed me this special cream his doctor gave him that makes the scars less itchy. Can we get some? We can ask Dr. Martinez about it." "And Dad? I think maybe I want to try wearing short sleeves to school. Not every day, but maybe sometimes. To see what happens." Ethan glanced in the rearview mirror at Megan, who was smiling from the back seat where she'd chosen to sit so Lily could have the front. "I think that's very brave, Bug." Megan says brave doesn't mean not being scared, it means doing it anyway. Megan's absolutely right. That night, after Lily was asleep, Ethan and Megan sat on the porch again, their regular spot now. She asked me to stay for breakfast tomorrow, Megan said softly. Said she wants to make pancakes together. And? I said yes, if that's okay with you. Ethan turned to look at her, this woman who'd walked into their broken world and somehow made it feel less fractured. It's more than okay. Megan, He stopped, suddenly nervous. What? I'm falling for you. Have been since that first night when you showed me your scars and trusted me not to run. The words came out in a rush. And I know it's complicated and scary and we're both carrying a lot of damage, but I don't care. I want this. I want you. In our lives, for real. Megan was quiet for a moment, and Ethan's heart hammered against his ribs. Then she smiled, that real smile that transformed her whole face. Good, because I'm already fallen. She leaned in and kissed him, soft and certain, and I'm not going anywhere. The kiss lingered between them for a moment that felt suspended in time, and when they pulled apart, Ethan saw his own hope reflected in Megan's eyes. They sat together in the darkness, hands intertwined, listening to the steady rhythm of rain on the roof, and feeling like they'd crossed some invisible threshold into territory neither had dared to enter in years. Inside, Lily slept peacefully, unaware that the adults in her life were quietly constructing a future that included all three of them. It was both terrifying and thrilling, this leap into vulnerability, and Ethan found himself thinking about what Lily had said earlier, that brave didn't mean not being scared, it meant doing it anyway. The following morning, Megan was there when Lily woke up, already in the kitchen with Ethan, laughing over coffee about something small and ordinary. Lily appeared in the doorway in her pajamas, hair sleep wild, and stopped short at seeing Megan there so early. You stayed? She asked, her voice carefully neutral, testing the waters. Not overnight, Megan clarified quickly, understanding the unspoken question. I just came back early because someone promised to teach me her secret pancake recipe. Lily's face split into a grin. You remembered? Of course I remembered. This is important business. They made pancakes together while Ethan pretended to supervise, mostly just drinking coffee and watching the two of them work in easy tandem. Megan followed Lily's very specific instructions about the proper flour-to-milk ratio, nodding seriously when Lily explained that the secret was adding a tiny bit of vanilla extract and letting the batter rest for exactly 3 minutes. My mom taught me this recipe, Lily said at one point, her voice going soft. Before the fire. Megan didn't flinch or rush to fill the silence with empty platitudes. She just nodded and said, Then we're making something really special. Thank you for sharing it with me. Lily looked up at her with eyes that were too understanding for 7 years old. I think my mom would like you. Ethan had to turn away, pretending to search for the syrup in the pantry while he collected himself. When he emerged, Megan was hugging Lily, and they were both smiling through tears. They ate breakfast together at the small kitchen table, Lily chattering about the support group and asking when they could see Emma and Marcus again. Megan promised to help coordinate playdates, and Lily beamed at the implicit promise of continued involvement. After breakfast, while Lily got dressed for the day, Megan helped Ethan clean up. This feels domestic, she observed, drying a plate. Is that okay? It's perfect, and also kind of surreal. She set down the plate. I spent so many years convincing myself I'd never have this, someone to make pancakes with, a kid who trusts me, mornings that feel like home. You have it now. Do I? Really? The vulnerability in her voice caught him off guard. Ethan dried his hands and turned to face her fully. Megan, I meant what I said last night. I want this to be real. I want you here, in our lives, as much as you're willing to be. Even though it's fast, even though we've only known each other 2 months, when you spend 2 years in emotional isolation, 2 months of the right person can feel like a lifetime. He reached out and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. And you're the right person. I know that in my bones. She kissed him then, soft and sweet, and when they pulled apart, she whispered, I know it too. The weeks that followed fell into a new rhythm. Megan started spending most evenings at their house, sharing dinners and homework sessions and bedtime routines. She kept her own apartment, maintaining that boundary of independence, but increasingly her life and theirs became intertwined. Lily bloomed under the dual attention. She wore short sleeves to the next support group meeting without being asked, And when Emma complimented her bravery, Lily stood a little taller. She started talking more at school, raising her hand in class, even making a new friend, a quiet girl named Sophie who didn't stare at the scars, but instead asked about Lily's stuffed animal collection. Sophie wants to come over sometime, Lily announced one evening in November. Is that okay? Ethan looked up from the construction plans he was reviewing. Of course it's okay. When were you thinking? Maybe this weekend? We could show her the stuffed animal hospital and maybe work on the logo with Megan. The casual way Lily included Megan in these plans no longer surprised Ethan. She'd become part of the fabric of their daily life, woven in so completely that her absence would leave visible holes. The playdate with Sophie went beautifully. The two girls spent hours in Lily's room, giggling over stuffed animals and creating elaborate rescue scenarios. Megan sat with them, sketching logo ideas and letting the girls direct her creative choices with the seriousness of true collaborators. At one point, Ethan heard Sophie ask, "What happened to your arms?" He tensed, ready to intervene, but Megan handled it with characteristic grace. "I was in a fire when I was younger," she said simply. "These are my scars from it. Do they hurt?" "Not anymore. Sometimes they're itchy, but mostly they're just part of me now." "Lily has scars too," Sophie said, matter of fact, "from a fire where her mom died." "I know. Lily and I talk about that sometimes." "I think scars are kind of interesting. They show that you survived something hard." Megan smiled. "That's exactly right. You're a very wise kid, Sophie." Later, after Sophie's mother picked her up, Lily was practically vibrating with happiness. "She didn't care about my scars at all, Dad. She said they were interesting, not scary or weird, just interesting." "That's because Sophie sounds like a good friend." "She is. She's my best friend now. Well, her and Emma from group." Lily paused. "Is it okay to have more than one best friend?" "It's more than okay. It's wonderful." That night, after Lily was asleep, Megan and Ethan sat in the living room, her feet tucked under his legs on the couch, both of them reading in comfortable silence. It was domestic and ordinary, and everything Ethan had stopped believing he could have. "I've been thinking," Megan said, setting down her book. "About?" "About telling Lily. About us being together officially. As a couple." Ethan marked his place and gave her his full attention. "You think she doesn't already know?" "I think she suspects. But there's a difference between suspecting and knowing for sure." Megan's fingers twisted in her lap, nervous. "And if we're doing this for real, if I'm going to keep being here, she deserves to understand what that means." "What do you want to tell her?" "The truth. That I care about her father, that I care about her, that I want to be part of your family, if she's okay with that." Ethan felt his throat tighten. "You're sure?" "I'm terrified, but yes, I'm sure." She met his eyes. "Are you?" "More sure than I've been about anything in years." They decided to tell Lily the next day, a Saturday when they'd all planned to go to the farmer's market together. Over breakfast, after Lily had finished her cereal, Ethan and Megan exchanged a look, and he nodded. "Bug, Megan and I want to talk to you about something," Ethan started. Lily's spoon clattered into her bowl. "Are you going away?" The question came out sharp with panic. "No," Megan said quickly, reaching across the table. "No, sweetheart, the opposite, actually." "Then what?" Ethan took a breath. "You know how Megan's been spending a lot of time here, and how the three of us have been doing things together?" "Yeah." "Well, that's because Megan and I really care about each other. We're dating. We're together as a couple." He watched Lily's face carefully. "And we wanted to make sure you knew that, and that you were okay with it." Lily looked between them, her expression unreadable. The silence stretched long enough that Ethan's heart started to race. Then she said, "Does this mean Megan's going to be here all the time?" "Would that bother you?" Megan asked gently. "No." Lily's voice was small but certain. "I like when you're here. The house feels better when you're here." The relief that flooded through Ethan was almost physical. "Yeah?" "Yeah, it's less quiet, less sad." She looked directly at Megan. "Are you going to be my new mom?" Megan's eyes filled with tears, but she kept her voice steady. "I'm not trying to replace your mom, Lily. Nobody could do that. But I do want to be someone who loves you and takes care of you and is here for you, if you'll let me." Lily thought about this with her characteristic seriousness, then nodded. Okay, but can I still call you Megan? I'm not ready for mom yet. You can call me whatever feels right. There's no rush. Okay. Lily returned to her cereal, apparently considering the matter settled. Then she looked up again. Does this mean we're a family now? Ethan and Megan looked at each other, and he saw his own wonder reflected in her expression. Yeah, Bug, he said softly. I think it does. Lily smiled, bright and genuine. Good, I like our family. The farmer's market that morning felt like a celebration, even though nothing had fundamentally changed except the words they'd used to name what already existed between them. They walked through the stalls together, Lily between them holding both their hands, chattering about which vegetables to buy and which vendor had the best apple cider. People who saw them probably assumed they'd always been a unit, a father, a mother, a daughter. They didn't know the journey it had taken to get here, the scars, visible and invisible, that each of them carried. And Ethan found he didn't need them to know. The truth of their family wasn't in how they looked from the outside, but in the love and work and trust they'd built from the inside. As November turned to December, their lives continued to weave together. Megan started keeping clothes at the house, toiletries in the bathroom, her favorite coffee in the pantry. She helped Lily pick out a Halloween costume, a doctor for the stuffed animal hospital, and carved pumpkins with them. She came to Lily's school play and sat in the audience beaming with pride like she'd been there from the beginning. The nightmares that used to plague Lily 2 or 3 times a week dwindled to once a month, then less. She wore short sleeves to school more often, though she still kept a hoodie in her backpack for days when she felt vulnerable. She thrived at the support group, developing friendships with Emma and Marcus that existed both inside and outside those monthly meetings. At Thanksgiving, Megan joined them for dinner at Jess's house. Ethan watched his sister take one look at the 3 of them together and smile with undisguised satisfaction. I'm a genius, Jess announced while they were setting the table. A matchmaking genius. You're insufferable, Ethan replied, but he was grinning. Insufferable and brilliant. Admit it. I changed your life. You did, Megan said from the doorway, startling them both. You really did. Thank you, Jess. Jess pulled Megan into a hug. Take care of them, okay? They deserve someone who sees how special they are. I do see it every day. The dinner was loud and warm and full of the kind of easy affection that comes from being truly comfortable with people. Lily told elaborate stories about her stuffed animals, while the adults listened with genuine interest. Megan helped with dishes and swapped design ideas with Jess, who was always looking for someone to create marketing materials for her real estate business. Ethan sat back and watched it all unfold, feeling grateful in a way that made his chest ache. Later that night, driving home with Lily asleep in the back seat and Megan's hand in his, Ethan said, I keep waiting for something to go wrong. Why? Because this feels too good, too easy, and nothing in my life has ever been easy. Megan squeezed his hand. It's not easy. We're just making it look easy because we're working at it, all 3 of us. Maybe. Ethan, look at me. She waited until he glanced over. You deserve this. Lily deserves this. Stop waiting for the other shoe to drop and just let yourself be happy. He wanted to believe her, and increasingly, he did. The first real test came in mid-December. Lily came down with the flu, a bad one that had her fever spiking to 103 and left her weak and miserable. Ethan called in sick to work, prepared to handle it the way he'd handled every illness since becoming a single parent: caffeine, vigilance, and sheer determination. But when he texted Megan to let her know he'd have to cancel their dinner plans, her response was immediate. I'm coming over. Don't argue. You don't have to do this. She's really sick and it's going to be a long night. That's exactly why I'm coming. You shouldn't have to do this alone. She arrived an hour later with soup from Lily's favorite restaurant, Children's Fever Reducer, and a bag of supplies that suggested she'd cleared out half a pharmacy. She took one look at Lily, flushed and feverish on the couch, and immediately went into caretaker mode. Hey, sweetheart, she said softly, sitting beside Lily. I heard you're not feeling good. Everything hurts, Lily whimpered. I know, baby, but we're going to make you feel better, okay? The endearment, baby, slipped out naturally, and Lily didn't question it. She just nodded and let Megan check her temperature, help her take medicine, adjust the blankets around her. For the next 12 hours, Megan and Ethan worked in shifts. She sat with Lily while he grabbed a few hours of sleep. Then he took over while she napped on the couch. They moved around each other with the ease of a long-established team, communicating in quiet murmurs and shared glances. At 3 in the morning, when Lily's fever finally broke and she fell into genuine sleep for the first time all day, Ethan found Megan in the kitchen making tea. "You should go home," he said. "Get some real sleep. I'm fine here." "Megan?" She turned to face him, her expression serious. "This is what families do, Ethan. They show up when things are hard. They take care of each other." She paused. "I'm not going anywhere just because it got difficult." Something in Ethan's chest cracked open, not breaking, but expanding, making room for more than he'd thought possible. He crossed the kitchen and pulled her into his arms, holding tight. "I love you," he said into her hair. "I've been trying not to say it because it felt too soon, but I love you. Completely." Megan pulled back just enough to look at him, tears tracking down her face. "I love you too. Both of you. So much it scares me sometimes." They stood there in the dim kitchen, holding each other while Lily slept peacefully in the next room, and Ethan felt the last of his carefully maintained walls crumble. This was real. This was forever. This was the family he'd stopped believing he could have. The next morning, Lily woke up weak but clearly on the mend. She found Megan asleep on the couch and immediately crawled up to cuddle against her. When Megan stirred, Lily looked up at her with serious eyes. "You stayed all night?" "Your dad and I both did. We wanted to make sure you were okay. You didn't have to." "I wanted to, because that's what people do when they love each other." Lily was quiet for a moment, then said in a small voice, "I love you too, Megan." Megan's arms tightened around her. "Oh, sweetheart, I love you so much." Ethan watched from the doorway, his heart so full it felt like it might burst. His phone buzzed with a text from his foreman asking when he'd be back to work. But for the first time in years, work felt secondary to this, to his daughter being held by someone who loved her, to the family they were building from broken pieces and brave choices. The weeks leading up to Christmas were full of small moments that felt monumental. Megan helped Lily pick out a present for Ethan, conspiring with elaborate secrecy. Lily insisted they get a real Christmas tree and that Megan help decorate it. They made cookies together, went to see Christmas lights, sang carols off-key while driving around looking at decorations. On Christmas Eve, after Lily was tucked into bed with visions of presents dancing in her head, Ethan and Megan sat by the tree they'd decorated together, drinking wine and talking quietly. "I was thinking," Megan said, her voice nervous, "about next steps." "What kind of next steps?" "The kind where maybe I stop pretending I don't basically live here already. Where maybe we make this official." Ethan's heart started pounding. "You mean move in?" "I mean move in. If you want that. If you think Lily would be okay with it." "I think Lily would be thrilled. But Megan, are you sure? That's a big step." "I'm sure. I've never been more sure of anything." She took his hand. "Ethan, I love the life we're building. I love waking up here, making breakfast with Lily, helping with homework, being part of your daily routines. And I don't want to keep dividing my life between here and an apartment I barely use anymore." "When were you thinking? After the holidays, maybe? Give Lily time to adjust to the idea. Make it feel gradual rather than sudden." Ethan pulled her close, kissing her softly. "Let's tell her tomorrow. Make it a Christmas present." Christmas morning dawned bright and clear, rare for December in Portland. Lily woke them both at dawn. Megan had spent the night in the guest room to maintain the illusion of propriety, and dragged them downstairs to the presents under the tree. They opened gifts slowly, savoring each one. Lily got the art supplies she'd been wanting, new books, a stuffed animal to add to her growing hospital. She gave Ethan a framed drawing she'd made of the three of them together, and she gave Megan a handmade bracelet with beads spelling out family. Megan cried over that bracelet, slipping it onto her wrist immediately and declaring she'd never take it off. After the presents were opened and wrapping paper littered the floor, Ethan caught Megan's eye and nodded. "Bug, we have one more present to talk about," he said. "Not a thing exactly, but something we hope you'll like." Lily looked up from examining her new art set. "What is it?" Megan sat down beside her. How would you feel if I moved in here? Officially, not just visiting, but actually living here with you and your dad. Lily's eyes went wide. Really? Like all your stuff would be here and you'd be here every morning and every night? Exactly like that, if that's okay with you. Are you kidding? That would be the best present ever. Lily launched herself at Megan, hugging her tight. When? When are you moving in? Probably in a few weeks. We need to pack up my apartment and move my things and can I help? Please, Megan laughed, holding her close. Of course you can help. We'll do it together. Lily pulled back, her face glowing with happiness. This is the best Christmas ever, the absolute best. Later, after Lily had run upstairs to rearrange her stuffed animals to make room for Megan's energy, Ethan and Megan stood in the kitchen preparing Christmas dinner. No going back now, he said, smiling. Don't want to go back, only forward. Even knowing what you're signing up for, the chaos, the nightmares that still happen sometimes, the scars we're all still healing. Megan set down the knife she'd been using to chop vegetables and turned to face him fully. Especially knowing that. Because Ethan, I spent years hiding my scars and calling it safety. I spent years alone and calling it independence. But this? She gestured around them. This messy, complicated, beautiful family we're building? This is what living actually looks like. And I choose it. Every single day, I choose it. He kissed her then, pouring everything he felt into it. Gratitude and love and the bone-deep relief of finally not being alone anymore. From upstairs, they heard Lily singing off-key, and they both smiled against each other's lips. Our family, Ethan whispered. Our family, Megan agreed. Moving day arrived on a Saturday in early January, cold but clear. Ethan had borrowed his coworker's truck, and Lily had appointed herself chief organizer, clipboard in hand with a list she'd made of all the rooms Megan's things would go into. She took the responsibility with endearing seriousness, directing where boxes should be placed with the authority of a tiny general. That one says kitchen, so it goes in the kitchen, she instructed two of Ethan's friends who'd volunteered to help. And be careful with the one marked fragile. It has Megan's special mugs. Megan stood in the doorway of her now empty apartment, taking one last look around. She'd lived here for 4 years, and it had been a safe haven when she'd needed one, a place to hide from the world while she slowly learned to stop hiding. But it had also been lonely, she realized now. 4 walls that kept her safe, but also kept her isolated. You okay? Ethan asked, coming up beside her. Yeah, just saying goodbye. She turned to him with a smile. And hello to what comes next. They loaded the last box into the truck, and Lily insisted on riding with Megan in her car, chattering the entire drive about how they were going to arrange Megan's bookshelf in the living room and where her desk would fit best for her design work. And I cleared out half my closet for your art supplies, Lily announced proudly. Dad helped me. We made space. You made space for me, Megan repeated softly, the weight of those words settling around her heart. Making space wasn't just physical, it was emotional, psychological, a conscious choice to let someone in. Of course we did. You're family now. By late afternoon, most of Megan's belongings were in the house, boxes stacked in various rooms waiting to be unpacked. Ethan ordered pizza while Lily gave Megan a detailed tour of where everything would go, even though Megan had been in this house dozens of times before. But it's different now, Lily explained. Now it's your house too, so you need to know where everything is. She showed Megan the good mugs versus the everyday mugs. Which drawer had the scissors, where they kept the batteries. Which floorboard creaked in the hallway. Small domestic details that added up to belonging. That night, after Lily was asleep and Ethan's friends had gone home, Megan and Ethan sat surrounded by boxes in what was now their shared bedroom. She'd hung a few of her clothes in the closet next to his, and seeing them there, her dresses alongside his work shirts, felt both monumental and perfectly natural. I keep thinking about that first date, Megan said, leaning against him. When I told you no one ever wanted to date me, when I was so sure you'd leave. And I showed you Lily's picture. And everything changed. She looked up at him. I spent so many years believing my scars made me unlovable. And then I met you two, and suddenly I realized it was never about the scars. It was about finding people who could see past them. or through them, or just see them as part of the whole person. You taught Lily that same lesson. We taught each other, all three of us. Megan stood and pulled him up with her. Come on, let's unpack a few boxes before bed. Make this feel real. They worked quietly, finding spaces for her books among his, her pictures beside his on the walls. She hung a framed photograph of her parents in the bedroom, young and smiling, before the fire. And Ethan understood the significance of that. She was bringing her whole history into this house, not just the parts that were easy. Over the next few weeks, they settled into their new normal. Mornings became a three-person routine. Ethan making coffee while Megan helped Lily pick out clothes and fix her hair, everyone converging in the kitchen for breakfast before school and work. Evenings were homework and dinner prep, and the comfortable chaos of a family learning to move around each other. There were adjustments. Megan learned that Ethan liked the kitchen sponges arranged a certain way, and that Lily needed exactly 17 minutes of quiet time after school before she was ready to talk about her day. Ethan discovered that Megan worked best with music playing and that she was serious about her morning coffee ritual. Lily figured out that having two adults who both cared about her meant she couldn't play them against each other, but also meant there was always someone to help with homework or listen to her worries. The real test came in late January when Lily had her first nightmare in weeks. Ethan woke to her screaming and was halfway out of bed before he realized Megan was already moving, pulling on a robe and hurrying down the hall. He followed, finding them in Lily's room, his daughter curled in Megan's arms, sobbing about fire and smoke, and her mother's voice calling for her. I've got her, Megan said quietly, meeting Ethan's eyes over Lily's head. Go back to bed. I'll stay with her. You sure? I'm sure. Ethan hesitated, his instinct to stay warring with the understanding that this was Megan showing him she was all in, even for the hard parts. He squeezed her shoulder and left them alone. In the morning, he found them both asleep in Lily's bed, curled around each other. He stood in the doorway for a long time, watching them breathe in sync, and felt something settle deep in his chest. This was what a family looked like. Not perfect, not easy, but real and committed and present. When Megan emerged from Lily's room an hour later, she looked tired but peaceful. She talked for a long time last night, she said, accepting the coffee Ethan handed her. About her mom, about the fire, about being scared that she'll forget what Emma looked like. What did you tell her? That it's okay to be scared of forgetting, that we could make a memory book together with pictures and stories. That loving me doesn't mean replacing her mother, it means expanding her heart to hold more love. Megan wrapped her hands around the mug. And I told her that nightmares are normal, that I still have them sometimes, and that she never has to go through them alone. Thank you for being there for her like that. Ethan, she's my kid too now. Not legally, not yet, but in every way that matters. Megan's voice was firm. I'm not babysitting or helping out. I'm parenting, with you. The certainty in her voice moved him almost to tears. I know, I see that. February brought Valentine's Day, and Lily insisted they celebrate as a family. She made cards for both of them, elaborate constructions involving glitter, stickers, and earnest declarations of love in her careful handwriting. Megan framed hers and put it on her desk where she could see it while working. For the actual day, they decided to stay home and cook together. Lily helped make heart-shaped pizzas while Ethan and Megan worked on a chocolate cake that turned out lopsided but delicious. They ate by candlelight in the dining room, and Lily gave them a very serious toast. To our family, she said, raising her glass of apple juice, which is the best family because we chose each other. To our family, Ethan and Megan echoed, their eyes meeting over Lily's head with shared wonder at this life they'd built. After dinner, while Lily was absorbed in a movie, Ethan pulled out a small box he'd been hiding for weeks. Inside was a simple silver necklace with 3 interlocking circles. It's not an engagement ring, he said quickly when Megan's eyes widened. Not yet, but I wanted you to have something that represents us. The 3 of us, connected. Megan's hands trembled as she opened the box. Ethan, it's beautiful. Each circle has an initial on the back, E, M, and L. He took the necklace out and fastened it around her neck. We're linked together now, permanently. She touched the circles with gentle fingers, then pulled him into a kiss that tasted like chocolate cake and promises. I love it. I love you. I love this life we're building. She glanced toward the living room where Lily was singing along with the movie. And someday, when the time is right, I'll say yes to that ring too. Yeah? Yeah, because I'm not going anywhere. This is it for me. You two are it for me. In March, the support group celebrated its annual anniversary with a potluck dinner. Lily was excited to show Megan off to her friends there, introducing her proudly as my Megan to anyone who would listen. Emma and Marcus immediately absorbed Megan into their circle, asking her questions about design work and showing her their own art projects. Patricia, the facilitator, pulled Ethan aside during the dinner. Lily's made remarkable progress since she started coming here, she said. And from what I understand, a lot of that is thanks to Megan. Megan's been incredible. She understands Lily in ways I never could. It's more than understanding, it's modeling. Patricia gestured to where Megan stood talking with a group of kids, her scars fully visible and unconcealed. She shows them what survival looks like years down the road. She shows them it gets better. That's powerful medicine for kids who are still in the thick of their trauma. Ethan watched Megan laugh at something one of the teenagers said, watched how comfortable she was in her own skin now, and felt grateful beyond words that she'd walked into his life that rainy night months ago. On the drive home, Lily fell asleep in the back seat, worn out from playing with her friends. Megan turned to look at her, her expression soft with affection. She told me today that she wants to wear short sleeves to the spring concert at school, Megan said quietly. Said she's tired of hiding and wants to be brave like me. What did you tell her? That she's already braver than I was at her age. That it took me until my 30s to stop hiding, and she's figuring it out at 7. Megan's voice caught. I'm so proud of her, Ethan. So incredibly proud. She's proud of you too. You're her hero. We're each other's heroes. That's what makes this work. April brought Lily's 8th birthday, and she insisted on having her party at the park where she'd first met Megan. They invited everyone, her school friends including Sophie, her support group friends, family, neighbors. It was the biggest party Lily had ever had, and she spent the entire day glowing with happiness. When it came time to cut the cake, Lily made a speech that had every adult present reaching for tissues. I used to think my scars meant I was broken, she said in her clear, brave voice. But Megan taught me that scars just mean you survived something hard. And surviving something hard makes you strong, not broken. She looked directly at Megan. Thank you for showing me how to be strong. Megan was openly crying, and Ethan wasn't far behind. Later, after most of the guests had left and they were cleaning up, Jess pulled him aside. You know you're going to marry her, right? I know. Soon? When the moment's right. The moment's been right for months, genius. Don't overthink it. Ethan laughed, but Jess's words stayed with him. That night, after Lily was asleep and he and Megan were sitting on the porch in their usual spot, he brought it up. Lily asked me today if you were going to be her mom forever. Megan looked up from the book she'd been reading. What did you tell her? That I hoped so, that I wanted that more than anything. He took a breath. And then she asked if that meant we were getting married. Oh. Megan set down her book. And I said maybe someday. But Megan? He turned to face her fully. I don't want to wait for someday. I want to marry you. I want to make this official in every possible way. I want you to be Lily's mom legally, not just in our hearts. I want to build a life where we're tied together permanently, legally, completely. Megan's eyes were shining with tears. Are you proposing? Not yet. Not without a ring and a proper plan. He took her hand. But I'm telling you my intentions. I'm telling you that you're it for me. And when I do propose, soon, I need to know you'll say yes. I'll say yes. Her voice was steady, certain. I'll say yes today, tomorrow, whenever you ask. Because Ethan, you and Lily are my family. You're my home. And I want to make that permanent too. They kissed under the stars, making promises they both intended to keep. 2 weeks later, Ethan took Lily shopping for a ring. She helped him pick it out, a simple band with a small diamond, elegant and unpretentious, exactly Megan's style. They conspired together on the proposal plan, Lily insisting it had to be special, but not too fancy because Megan doesn't like when people make a big fuss. They decided on a Sunday afternoon in May, back at the park where everything had started. Ethan arranged for the support group families to be there under the guise of a casual picnic, wanting Megan to be surrounded by the community that had meant so much to all of them. Megan suspected nothing when they arrived at the park, thinking it was just another group gathering. But when she saw the number of people there, not just support group families, but also Jess and Ethan's friends, and some of Megan's own friends she'd reconnected with over the past months, she started to realize something was happening. "Ethan?" she asked, confused and hopeful. "What is this?" He took her hand and Lily took her other hand, and they walked her to the center of the gathering where everyone had formed a loose circle. 8 months ago, Ethan started, his voice carrying across the quiet group, I came to this park for what I thought was going to be a simple coffee meeting. I was terrified. I was protecting my daughter and my heart and convinced that opening up to someone new was more risk than I could handle. Megan's free hand had moved to her mouth, tears already streaming down her face. "But you showed up, and you were brave, you were honest. You looked at Lily's picture, and you understood, in a way I'd never hoped anyone would understand. And you didn't run. You leaned in." Lily squeezed Megan's hand, beaming up at her. "Over these months, you've become part of our family. Not just someone who lives with us, but someone who makes us better. Someone who makes our house a home. Someone who taught my daughter that her scars don't define her, and taught me that love doesn't require perfection. It requires presence." Ethan got down on one knee, and the crowd around them gasped softly. He pulled out the ring box, and Lily bounced excitedly beside Megan. "Megan Rhodes, will you marry me? Will you officially become Lily's mom and my wife? Will you let us love you for the rest of our lives?" Megan was sobbing openly now, nodding before she could even speak. Finally, she managed, "Yes, yes, absolutely yes." Ethan stood and slipped the ring onto her finger, and the park erupted in cheers and applause. Lily launched herself at both of them, and they caught her between them, the three of them holding each other tight while their chosen family celebrated around them. Later, after they'd cut the cake Emma's mother had secretly made and accepted countless congratulations, Megan pulled Ethan aside for a moment alone. "I need to tell you something," she said, her voice serious. "What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong. Everything's right. So right it scares me sometimes." She touched the ring on her finger like she still couldn't believe it was real. "But I need you to know that this, us, this family, this life, it saved me. Not in some dramatic rescue way, but in the everyday way of finally feeling like I belonged somewhere. Like my scars didn't make me less than. Like I was chosen and wanted exactly as I am. You did the same for us, for Lily especially. You gave her permission to stop hiding and start living. We gave each other permission." Megan looked over to where Lily was playing with Emma and Marcus, all three kids wearing short sleeves and laughing without self-consciousness. "Look at her, Ethan. Look at how far she's come. Look at how far we've all come." They stood together watching their daughter, because Lily was Megan's daughter now too, in every way that mattered, and Ethan felt the weight of the past 2 years finally lift. The grief and fear and survival mode that had defined his life since Emma's death had transformed into something else. Not gone, not forgotten, but integrated into a larger story that included hope and love and the family he'd built from the ashes. The wedding was small and simple, held in Jess's backyard in late June. Lily was the flower girl and took her duties so seriously that she practiced walking down the aisle for days beforehand. Emma and Marcus came, along with a dozen other support group families. Megan's design clients came, some of Ethan's construction crew, neighbors who'd watched their family form and had cheered them on. Lily had insisted on making a speech at the reception, and when the time came, she stood on a chair so everyone could see her, her scars visible in the sleeveless dress she'd chosen with confidence. "I used to think families had to look a certain way," she said. "Mom, dad, kids, all together from the start. But Megan taught me that families are the people who choose to love you, who show up when things are hard, who see your scars and think you're beautiful anyway." She looked directly at Megan, her voice strong and clear. "You're my mom now. Not instead of my first mom, but in addition to her. And I'm so happy you married my dad because it means you're stuck with us forever." Megan was crying again. Happy tears this time, the kind that came from joy rather than pain. She She opened her arms, and Lily jumped down from the chair and ran to her, and they held each other while the guests applauded. That night, after the reception ended and Lily was asleep at Jess's house for their wedding night, Ethan and Megan lay in bed in the quiet darkness of their room. "Are you happy?" he asked. "Happier than I ever thought possible." She turned to face him. "For so long, I thought my story ended with the fire, that the best I could hope for was survival. But this?" She gestured to the room, the house, the life they'd built. "This is more than survival. This is thriving. This is choosing life instead of just enduring it. You chose life. You chose us. And we're so grateful you did. I'm grateful you saw me, really saw me. Not just the scars or the survival story, but the person underneath all of that." They fell asleep holding each other, and for the first time in years, neither of them had nightmares. 3 months later, on a crisp September morning, they stood in family court while a judge made it official. Megan Rhodes Walker was now legally Lily's mother. The paperwork was signed, the order was entered, and what had been true in their hearts became true in the eyes of the law. Lily clutched the certificate afterward like it was the most precious thing she'd ever held. "Now it's real," she whispered. "It was always real, sweetheart," Megan said, kneeling beside her. "But yes, now it's official too." They celebrated with ice cream. Lily got chocolate chip, Ethan got mint chocolate chip, and Megan surprised them both by getting chocolate chip too, claiming she'd been converted. Walking through the park afterward, the three of them together, Ethan thought about that first blind date 8 months ago. He thought about how desperate and lonely he'd been, how convinced that he'd never find someone who could handle the complicated reality of their lives. And he thought about how wrong he'd been. "What are you smiling about?" Megan asked, noticing his expression. "Just thinking about how far we've come, how much has changed." "Everything's changed," Lily piped up. "We used to be sad all the time, and now we're happy most of the time." "Most of the time?" "Well, I still get sad sometimes, about my first mom, and I still have bad dreams sometimes." Lily looked up at both of them. "But now when I'm sad, I have you both to help me feel better, so the sad doesn't last as long." Megan crouched down to Lily's level. "The sad might never completely go away, and that's okay. Your first mom will always be part of you. But you're right, now you have more people to share the sad with, which makes it easier to carry. And more people to share the happy with too," Lily added, "which makes the happy even better." They continued walking, Lily between them holding both their hands, swinging slightly with each step. Other families passed them in the park, and no one gave them a second glance. They were just another family enjoying a Sunday afternoon, unremarkable in their normalcy. But Ethan knew the truth. There was nothing unremarkable about what they'd built. 3 people who'd been broken by fire and loss had found each other in the darkness and created something whole. They'd taken their scars, visible and invisible, and transformed them from sources of shame into badges of survival. That night, after Lily was tucked in bed, after she'd made them promise to be there when she woke up, after she'd said, "I love you" to both of them with equal fervor, Ethan and Megan sat on the porch in what had become their sacred space. "I've been thinking," Megan said, "about what I'd tell my 19-year-old self if I could. The girl in the hospital, covered in bandages, convinced her life was over. What would you tell her? That the fire doesn't end your story, it just changes the plot. That the scars you're so afraid of will eventually become part of who you are, but they won't be all of who you are." She paused. "And that someday you'll use your pain to help a little girl learn to love herself. And in helping her, you'll finally learn to love yourself too." Ethan pulled her close. "And what would you tell her about me? That you're coming, that it'll take years, and the path to get there will be winding and hard. But he's coming. And when he arrives, he'll see you, all of you, and he'll choose you anyway. Not despite your scars, but including them. Because they're part of your story, and he wants your whole story." They sat in comfortable silence, watching the stars emerge one by one in the darkening sky. Inside, their daughter slept peacefully, secure in the knowledge that she was loved and safe. Tomorrow they'd wake up and do it all again. Breakfast and work and school and homework and dinner and bedtime. The ordinary rhythms of family life that had once seemed impossible. "We did it," Ethan said softly. "We actually built something good from all that pain." We did. All three of us together. Megan looked at him in the dim light. And this is just the beginning. We have years ahead of us, years of watching Lily grow up, years of building our life together, years of choosing each other every single day. I can't wait. Neither can I. They stayed there a while longer, two people who'd learned that love doesn't require perfection, that families can be built from intention rather than biology, and that scars, whether on skin or soul, don't make you less worthy of happiness. They just mean you survived long enough to find it. Inside the house, in her room decorated with stuffed animals and drawings and the logo Megan had designed for her hospital, Lily Walker slept without nightmares. She dreamed instead of tomorrow's breakfast, of playing with Emma and Marcus at the park, of the family that had been broken and then remade into something stronger than it had ever been before. And in the morning, she would wake up to a house full of love, to a father who had never stopped fighting for her happiness, and to a mother who had taught her the most important lesson of all, that you don't have to be perfect to be worthy of love. You just have to be brave enough to let people see you, scars and all, and trust that the right people will choose to stay. That was the gift they'd given each other. That was the family they'd built. And that was the future they would continue to create together, one ordinary, extraordinary day at a time.